So
Okay,
welcome everyone again to another series of webinars from Cobalt Digital. This is pre-NAB 2026. We're excited to see everybody at the show in 2 to 3 weeks. Dr. Cyril Narayan here, our CTO, is going to go over some of the new products and new features with Chris Garcia, who's our Director of Pre-Sales Engineering. And go ahead. Get started. Please feel free to stop. We like this to be casual. We like to stop all the way. We like to questions answered. So please feel free to stop and interrupt and ask your questions and keep this as interactive as possible. Thank you.
okay. Thank you for being here. Our pre-NAB webinar. Um, so we always show this picture here is the Cobalt family groups. Those of you who are paying attention, you see there's a new thing here called blueCORE processors, but we created those family groups to find it easier to find the pros, classify them into families. So blueCORE is this new processor, ARIA is for audio, UltraBlue is the multiviewer, Pacific is compression. We have a whole bunch of Sapphire converters, Indigo is 2110, Topaz are the processors. We have the frames, we have the blue boxes, we have the Royal distribution amplifier, Cyan is for fiber, and Wave is for routers and control panels. So, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to start with this new thing that nobody knows about. It's top secret. You heard it first. Is the blueCORE 1RU standalone signal processor. Then we'll talk about new product releases. We'll give you an update on IPMX. We'll give you an update on the ARIA audio monitor. There's also an update on compression. There's an update on the UltraBlue software multiviewer. We're going to go back and redo the Cobalt openGear frame solutions. That's not necessarily new, but that's important to talk about. And finally, we'll talk about the NAB 2026 booth demos. All right, let me start with this blueCORE 1RU signal processor. It looks like that. It's a 1RU box. Ancillary audio video ancillary data processor. It does pretty much everything that our openGear cards do. UDX, FrameSync, HDI, and a lot more. It supports both SDI and 2110. It's got a very nice touch sensitive panel, so you don't actually need to network it to control it. You can do everything in the front panel. It's about 10 inches deep. You put another inch for the buttons and BNCs. There's two versions, SDI version and 2110 version. The SDI version is 50 watts, the 2110 version is 80 watts of power. So what does this thing do? It's a quad pack 3G or single pack 4K audio video processor. It's basically equivalent to our 9904, 9905, but on a 1RU form factor. So what does it do? Up-down cross conversion. It does frame rate conversions. It is a frame sync, AS, MADI, and SDI audio embed and de-embed, audio mixing and routing between all those three formats, ancillary data bridging, RP168 clean switch. We support all the popular formats and frame rates, and we have dedicated SDIs for SDI over fiber support. So here's what the back panel looks like. Obviously you have redundant power. We have an Ethernet port for control, but again, there is a front panel, so you don't necessarily need to network it. There is a 1025 gigabit per second SFPs for 2110. A nice set of GPIOs. It's got built-in HDMI in and out. A whole bunch of SDI inputs, a whole bunch of SDI outputs, obviously a reference loop. That's a in and out, right? Reference loop, just like the openGear frames have. Dedicated ports for AES, a little serial port for LTC, and fiber SDI in and out. So the family has 5 models called blueCORE 1 through 5. blueCORE 1 is used when you don't need 4K or HDR and will never need 2110. It can be upgraded to blueCORE 2 when you have 4K and HDR, but you never need 2110. Uh, blueCORE 3 is something that you get. blueCORE 3 is the same as blueCORE 2, but you get that if you want to eventually have 2110. So it's a more expensive base model than blueCORE 2 and is upgradable to 2110. blueCORE 4 is where we have everything, SDI and 2110. And blueCORE 5 is a 2110 only device, but it can be field upgraded to blueCORE 4. The HDMI out is available on blueCOREs 1, 2, and 3, and the maximum resolution is the same as the model, and HDMI in is available on blueCOREs 2, 3, and 4, 2 and 3 in 4K mode. Maximum resolution is 4K. There's a whole bunch of optional features. You can have the same factory installed DSP card as the openGear devices, and that DSP card supports Dolby encoding, decoding, loudness processing, and upmixing. And this is a factory installed option, so you got to order the blueCORE with that. Field upgrades. If the DSP card is installed, you can license the Dolby and the loudness and the upmix. You can do RGB color correction. The cool thing is that you can use the front panel knobs. You'll see the knobs in the other picture. You can do logo insertion, ancillary data processing, audio LTC, clean and quiet switching. Dante is an option for this. So those are all field upgrades. Let me show you a few things you can do in the front panel. This is not a comprehensive list. Here's a nice status screen. You can see the status of the whole thing at some point. This one has got 2110. Here is a sample 2110 configuration where you select the tabs and you configure them. And here's the 2110 audio router. There's a lot more than this, but I'm just giving you some samples. Another nice thing is here's a good example of color proc. Since this device has got 4 buttons in the front, you can do color correction directly into it. You bring this up on the panel and then use the knobs. Okay, next is new product releases, and Chris Garcia is going to take you through that.
Okay, thank you, Cyril. Here we go to the first. So we have this new, it's part of the family, the BBG Blue Box family of products that we've had for many years. So now to continue on that tradition of having these smaller form factor boxes for very portable, practical, sort of very specific applications. Something like this could easily allow users to expand to have additional fiber channels or fiber links that allow people to be able to receive or transport SDI signals over fiber in a combination of either transmit, receive, or you can do bidirectional depending on the SFP that you may have installed on this little box. So this little box, what it does, it basically allows you to use different types of SFPs. So it has 4 SFP ports where you can put, it doesn't matter exactly what the fiber wavelength is. You can just designate an SFP to that port, and then you can have either receive or transport over SDI or SDI to fiber with the 4 dedicated SDI bidirectional ports with this little box. As you can see, it supports a wide range of signals, including being able to transport ASI and MADI. You can easily configure this with the BBG config UI that's dedicated to this blue box type of box, very similar to all the other ones that we have. It also has, you can, and if you're not using that USB port to manage or control it, you can easily use that port as an external or additional sort of redundant power point for this little box. And then this, like any other little box, it has a 5-year warranty. So again, anything that happens between the time of purchase to the end of the warranty, we can either repair or replace as needed. So again, this is part of the new edition, and it supports all the way to 12G 4K formats. Next. And then to continue on the tradition of many of the legacy openGear cards that we have at Cobalt, now we have this, it's a 12G quad or 4-channel frame sync that can support signals from SD all the way to 12G. So the way this card behaves, you have 4 discrete SDI inputs into the card that can be either SD all the way to 12G. You can have a mix of different formats coming into the card. This, similar to the other cards that we have, if you have embedded audios, you can shuffle route those audios internally. And you can also apply some, if you want to do a frame sync or if you want to embed or de-embed audios within this card, this allows you to do that. It's very similar to the other products that we have. Others have, some DSP options. This one does not have that, but it gives you that flexibility to have density within an openGear environment where you can have multiple cards in a 2RU frame that supports up to 10 cards. So that'll give you a certain density if you have multiple channels that you need to keep timed within your workflow, and if also they require to embed or de-embed any audio channels. So again, this is an addition to the family that's growing, going from SE to 3G now, going all the way to 12G with this new platform. Next. And then to continue on this path of the 12G frame sync, we have this single channel frame sync card. The real benefit of this card that we have here is that you can start off with the 1-channel frame sync. You can utilize all the benefits that are provided by the internal design of this card, meaning that you can have the ability to keep everything timed with the frame sync up to 12G. You can have embedding, de-embedding, you can route shuffle all your audios, but then if needed, you can also keep expanding by adding additional licenses that'll give you that the capability to keep up to 4 channels frame sync. But the real benefit is that you can start off with 1 channel and at a lower price point, and as budgets open up, or you have a bit of budget from your OpEx, then you can easily license up additional channels without the need of having to add additional physical cards into your workflow. So again, that's one of the advantages of having a single frame sync card, that gives you that flexibility to be able to grow without having to make a bigger investment into getting additional cards for your workflow. So again, it shares the DNA with the previous card, but again, this is more in a single channel form factor. Next. And then to continue on with the 3D LUTs and HDR platforms that we have with the 9904, 9905 cards, now we have this 9981 LUT X card that essentially takes a DNA from all those other flagship products that we have, and it sort of brings it in a smaller form factor package where you can have one path of 3G SDI input into the card, where you'll have the ability to be able to take any SDR, HDR sources and convert them internally in the card. You can also color correct, keep everything frame sync, and then again, you can route shuffle your audios and be able to come out again with the different flavor of either SDR or HDR in a more price competitive package, because this is a 1-channel LUT type of card. This gives you the ability to be able to also grow it out with license option that, let's just say today you just need 1 path to do your HDR processing, but maybe in a few months or in a year, you want to add additional channels. Well, this card gives you that flexibility to do that. Unlike other products that we have where you either buy the 4-channel or a single channel and that's all you get, and in this particular platform, you can actually expand it out and keep growing your HDR or 3D LUT processing requirements. So again, it's a very price competitive solution, and the reason we decided to introduce this into the market is because we realized that as budgets get constrained, or there's limited budget for whatever projects, this will easily get you into that capability without having to break the bank. So again, this is the 9981 LUTX. Next. And then to continue on the tradition of the auto changeover platform, we have one that's a 3G version. Many of our customers had been asking for some time now to introduce a 12G supporting ACO into the market. Well, this is basically that introduction. This takes all the different elements, functionality that we offer with the 3G version, but now we bring it into this 12G domain, so the 4K version of that model. Similar to that other model, this has all the intelligence, the automatic, detection of any loss of signal, black, any failure that might be introduced into the signal, and this has the smarts and the capability to automatically switch over from input A to input B. And then similar to the other one, as the other inputs become available, it'll automatically switch back, or you can force it to stay on either B or C. And again, it supports the typical loss of signals like black, frozen, frames, audio loss, silence. Any of those different conditions can be detected, and based on those conditions or different events, it can react and then make those changes accordingly. So again, very similar to the other card, just that it supports 12G. Next. And then to continue on the tradition of what we started about a year ago with the 64 square router, now we have this 36 by 36 router, which is a 2RU footprint router. It's you can go to the next one, Cyril. It offers basically all the same capabilities as the other frame. You get redundant power. You have your SDIs and input and output. It comes with very robust BNC connectors. You can directly communicate to this with that Ethernet port you see on there. So basically, once you connect to that, you can open up a browser, type in the IP address, and then it brings up the UI for this router. And if you wanted to basically define some salvos, or if you wanted to communicate to this with different type of device or protocol, we support the PESA PNet or the SWP08, including the Cobalt CRAP protocol, and then the Lua, which not too many people are familiar with this. The Lua scripting allows other third-party devices to use a plugin to be able to control this. This router, we have some users that are using, for example, a QSYS type of device that's a multi-control interface that allows for this to be used in conjunction with any other device on the network. But in this case, you're basically controlling the source and destinations or the routes within this router. And again, it does the RP160 switching. So that means that anytime you go from one source to another, you can easily have a cleaner type of switch without any real hiccups. And then has support for multiple salvos that can be stored locally on this on the router. So again, these are the latest new additions that we have that are coming out to NAB, and you'll see them on display. And this is one of those other products that was now introduced into the market. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we're going to talk about IPMX. We've been talking about IPMX for a long time, and there's some very exciting updates about IPMX. So, for those quick introduction to IPMX. IPMX, I call it, is ST2110 made easy for plug-and-play operations. It is intended for Pro AV application environments, but there's no limitations for deploying broadcasting. In fact, I see this as the entry-level, ST2110 entry-level for the broadcaster for a local TV station that thinks ST2110 is too complex, too expensive. This is the way to get there. If you want to move into the 2110 world, you start with IPMX. So the main differences between IPMX and 2110 are IPMX requires the use of NMOS for control where the devices are auto-detected, and that complexity of assigning multicast is completely hidden. You just make connections. Most 2110 environments use NMOS, but it's not a requirement. The other big one is IPMX does not require PTP. So you don't have to put in a grandmaster, you don't have to set up a PTP, you don't have to put an antenna to receive the GPS. But the main thing here is cost. Since you don't need PTP, you don't need PTP aware switches, so you can use almost essentially consumer grade solution. Not quite, but close to that. So that's a cost thing. It's not just the cost of the grandmaster, it's the cost of the switch itself. And there's support for JPEG access, which is for lower bitrate operation. So you can even do this in gigabit switches. And there are some gigabit switches that are qualified for IPMX. So you can just go run copper gigabit. So IPMX supporting Cobalt devices, we've been, you think that, oh yeah, it's 2110. They just put some little thing on top of it, it becomes IPMX. No, there's a lot under the covers to make this work. So we have added IPMX support in all Cobalt SC2110 devices, both the Indigo and Sapphire line. So all of them have IPMX support now. And those new features include support for asynchronous operation, audio SRCs, and this is a big deal because why does 2110 need to have everything synchronized? Because you can mix and match any video with any audio with anything. Well, guess what? If you do a little bit of sample rate conversion, you can still do that, and we do it. So you can still mix any video with any audio with SRCs. It's transparent to you. JPEG access using VSFDR08. That is an additional license because we got to pay royalties to this thing. Support for RGB 444, conversion to YCBCR 420. This is more for computer stuff. And support for the IPMX protocol extensions. That's the stuff that's working under the covers to make this thing work. So in January 2026, 2 months ago, there was a certification event in Geneva, and all the Cobalt products passed. So you have here our merit badges, IPMX merit badges. Those are, they all look the same, but they aren't. Each one of those badges has a QR code. You're not going to be able to see it here, but eventually when you get this, you can follow the QR code, and that lands you on a page that has the certification on that specific product. You'll see that each one of these is different. It's a different certification. So the second most company with IPMX certification. Let's take a look at the IPMX line. This is we had before. We have a Indigo Gateway, which is an openGear card. We have a set of boxes, single channel box, HDMI and SDI output, dual channel HDMI output, quad channel, and we have four HDMI out, 4 HDMI in, and a mixed one. We have 2110 now IPMX input to our 9992 encoder, and an Indigo option on our 9904, 9905 for you to build an IPMX processor. So native IPMX in, IPMX out, and everything that card does is now available on an IPMX network. So what's new? We have a few new things to this list. We have Indigo Plus, you allow DAC. I'm going to talk specifically about that when I get to the compression. The ARIA audio monitor is the only IPMX audio monitor in the market. Our multiviewer, the software multiviewer, is IPMX qualified, and don't forget the new blueCORE family. So those are new additions to our IPMX line. All right, let's talk about the audio monitor. We had the audio monitor since last year. It's been deployed, it's shipping. This is just a reminder. You have 3 front panel options with different numbers of buttons. It's a 1 RU rack mounted, just 4 inches deep, and just 4 pounds of weight. It's got redundant power supplies plus PoE++, so you can power this thing from PoE. It has a full motion video thumbnail. I don't know if this is new. I talked about it last year, but I'm just doing a reminder. Support for SDI and analog outputs, and supports SDI, MADI. Dante is new. We're going to be showing Dante, and Dolby is right after that. AS analog and 2110. And 2110 wasn't quite ready yet last NAB, but it's now shipping. So I'm going to talk about, give you a quick overview how this thing supports 2110. It's got dual SFP cages supporting 10 and 25 gig. You use standard SFPs. It supports one video essence up to 4K. Why? Because we do a video thumbnail, and guess what? We have an SDI output, saves you a converter if you want to watch that. We support up to 4 audio essences. An audio 2110 audio essence can have a whole bunch of channels. We support up to 4 audio essences, each with 16 PCM channels. So you can look at 64 channels on the screen of this audio monitor. And an ancillary data, only thing we do with that is pass it out. So besides monitoring, we create an SDI rendering, and we provide you an internal router. So if you're receiving 64 channels of audio, you decide which ones go into the SDI. And asynchronous operation, no PTP required for IPMX network. So again, only IPMX qualified audio monitor in the market today is this one. New features. Support for Dante. We're showing that at NAB. For Dante, you just stick a 1 gigabit per second copper SFP in the SFP ports, and you can get 16 by 16 or 64 by 64 options. And a new version with a larger touch screen. So this version's got 2 buttons and a much larger touch screen. That's it for audio monitors. Let's see what's new in the world of compression. I haven't talked about compression in a while, something near and dear to my heart.
Any questions about anything else so far? Questions, comments, nothing?
You guys can stop us anytime. Go ahead.
Yes.
I talk very fast, but you can stop me. I'll listen. Okay. We haven't done a compression thing in a while, but this is just a reminder of the compression cards we have. We have a quad channel encoder that goes to 4K and supports both 422, 420, and all the compression standards, 264, 265, and 262. It's MPEG-2. We have a 9992 decoder with the same support. We have a ULL decoder, which is a new thing. Well, it's shipping. That ULL decoder is a new thing. It's similar to it basically does everything the 9992 decoder does, using less power and is less expensive. And we have the legacy line with the 9223 encoder, which is still going strong, and the 9990 decoder. Those are 420 and 8-bit encoders and decoders. So what's new is the 2110 output option to the Pacific ULL decoder. So we've had a 2110 input to an encoder. Now we're completing the set with the 2110 output to the decoder. It's a factory installed option. You gotta order it. It will do simultaneous SDI and 2110 outputs. Those SDI and 2110 outputs can be PTP locked. So it has a built-in frame sync. If you have PTP, it will PTP lock it. So if you're working on a traditional 2110 network, the output is going to be PTP locked. It is IPMX certified. It has 2 SFP cages for -7 operation. It supports both in-band and out-of-band NMOS. And all the inputs and protocols are fully supported. ASI, UDP, RTP, FEC, RIST, SRT, RTMP, RTSP. So you can be coming in with a surveillance camera in RTSP and getting it out on 2110. So you still have your ASI ports. You have your dual 1025 gigabit per second SFPs. You have your SDI output simultaneously, and you have your 10101 gig Ethernet ports for IP inputs and outputs. So it's the whole package. Something new as well, we are introducing a satellite demodulator option for the Pacific ULL decoder. So you see there, it is the same I/O panel that you already have. If you have one of those, it's the same I/O panel. There's a cutout for the F connector in the demodulator. It's an option factory installed. It supports LNB power. This can power your LNB. Polarization control, and it has a 22 kilohertz switch. The received content can be simultaneously decoded. Since it's a dual channel decoder, you can decode one or two services. You can simultaneously, besides decoding, you can output it over ASI and you can output it over IP. So you come sat in, decode up to 2 channels and output simultaneously over IP and over ASI. Now, this is something I'm going to be demonstrated at NAB. It's called the Hybrid Satellite Internet Operation, VSF TR-064 Part 7. As some of you know, the FCC is auctioning most or all of the remaining C-band spectrum. This is a US thing. There's a question. The DVB-S, we support DVB-S and S2, not S2X at the moment. This is coming. This is a future option. But this will be a firmware option to this decoder. So back to this. At least in the US, the C-band is pretty much going away. You can go KU and KA, but they are subject to rain fade and more interference. So there's this idea of using the satellite as the primary delivery and internet to fix whatever drops you have, including the whole stream dropping. Part 7, we are 64 Part 7 adds markers to limit the packets, and that eats about 2% of bandwidth. It's not bad. And any lost data is recovered to the internet. We demonstrated an early version of this at NAB New York with the 9992 decoder. Now we're going to be demonstrating with the actual satellite interface. For the insertion of the metadata tags, we have the 9992 encoder now and SafeLink in the future. For the recovery server, the same. And for the internet-enabled site, we can do the ULL decoder and the 9992 decoder now. The ULL decoder has its own satellite demodulator, and the 9992 decoder doesn't have a satellite demod. You have to have an external demod. That's how we demonstrated at the NAB New York. But if it takes an ASI with the satellite link, even with the drops, it can recover.
Does the apply for fiber circuits as well, 0, or is just embedded on the modulator? So if I have a fiber circuit and I want to have an internet backup, will this work as well or not?
Yeah, they will work.
Okay.
You can even do cool stuff like a -7 with satellite is one leg and the terrestrial is another leg. But in normal operation, the internet's used only to recover drop packets, and there's a mode where if there's a complete rain fade, we switch completely to the internet in a seamless fashion. But normally you're pulling from the internet just what you need.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions, or we can go into the multiviewer? Okay, multiviewer. You've seen this multiviewer before. A little recap. It's a software-based multiviewer. For inputs, it supports most compression standards using UDP, RTP, FAC, RIST, RTMP, SRT. It supports baseband over 2110 with NMOS support using Mellanox ConnectX cards, baseband over SDI with capture cards, and it's got all the major features that you expect from a multiviewer, with arbitrary rotation screens and pips, arbitrary sizing and positioning, audio bars, arbitrary UMDs, closed captioning, graphic overlays, user management, clock, alarms, and audio output. CC supports 708, 608, not OP47 at the moment, just 608, 708. The monitoring QC functions are loss of video. This is not new. This has all been there before, but I'm just doing a reminder. For video, loss of video, frozen black video with a region of interest, audio, loss of audio or silence. There's some, if you have compressed or SDI, there's a difference between audio loss, it's not there, and silence. We differentiate both. Ancillary data is loss of closed captioning, OP47. We can detect loss of OP47, but we don't decode it at the moment. SCSI, 350104, depending if you're working compressor baseband, and V-chip. The monitoring is per pip, and you can configure severity and priority. All of this I'm talking about is stuff that we already had since last year. I'm going to get to what's new, but it's just a recap. You can get this product as a software package to load in your hardware and turnkey hardware solution. We license it per input streams. In your hardware requirements, we require an NVIDIA GPU with Vulkan 1.3, A4000 series or better. For CPUs, 1 hyperthread per pip. This is getting better for some of the inputs. And for 2110 baseband, Mellanox ConnectX 6 cards with a RiverMac license. We sell a turnkey hardware, which is a Dell Supermicro, up to 4 DisplayPort adapters, 48 inputs, and support for 2 Mellanox ConnectX 6 cards with 100 gig interfaces. Chris Garcia created this very nice table here that summarizes everything this multiviewer can do on audio QC, video QC, ancillary data QC, configuration, some new things like the penalty box, what types of inputs. I'm not going to read the whole table, but it's a very good table for multiviewer at a glance. Okay, that was a recap. Yeah, Chris rocks. I agree. We like him a lot too. He gave me this shirt. So, UltraBlue new features. We have new output types, SDI and 2110. So besides the built-in DisplayPort or HDMI, now we have SDI and 2110. I have a slide on that. For monitoring and QC, we have a penalty box. The video QC doesn't necessarily detect color bars. This will be a frozen video. And you can define a region of interest. So there's no specific color bar detection, but you can use the frozen video detection for that, unless there's a bouncing box. Then it's more difficult. So on the monitoring QC, there's a penalty box. So you basically define a pip. This is a penalty box. Any alarm that happens goes to that one, so you can just watch that one. SNMP traps. You don't want to depend on an operator just watching this. Yes, you need to have that, but it'll be good to have SNMP for integration with an alarm system. And there's been multiple solutions in the market to convert SNMP to traps to email or traps to text. And the new user interface. All right, let's look at this new user interface. there's the user interface. We have enhanced the user interface to make it easier to use. It was easy to use before, but now it's easier. You have drag and drop graphical elements. You want any of those things that are highlighted, you just click on it and drag it to the screen, and then you get that. And then a window with the properties for that opens, and you can configure it. You can see the background image in the canvas itself, and I just put a digital clock there. And here is a view with a portrait and a landscape monitor. This is actually what you're going to see at NAB. This is the NAB multiviewer with these two things. You have a portrait monitor and you have a landscape monitor with this actual overlays, graphical overlays. On the output routing, we now have something called viewports. The viewport is what you build the image on, and then you decide where the viewport is coming out. So logically, it's something like this. The viewports can come out on any combination of outputs. In my particular case, I have that landscape monitor coming out on HDMI and driving a screen and going out on SDI. So it's logically like that. You define across a viewport and you decide where it's coming out. And this is the whole thing finished. So this is the multiviewer you're going to see at NAB. You're seeing here, I have on my left side, I have a whole bunch of IP feeds, so compressed IP feeds. And on my right side, I have 2110s. And the bottom two are coming from a ULL decoder. Any questions on multiviewer? Okay, I think it's necessary, since we keep adding cards and everything, a review of the Cobalt openGear frame solutions is important. Even though there's nothing new here, it's important to keep in mind that. So I'll pass it on to Chris to talk about that. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, thanks, Hiro. So again, to recap what we have as the frame, as you can see there, the far left frame that you see on your screen, this is essentially, it's been discontinued. It's one that many customers have used and have over the years. This is the HBF 9000. That one will basically translate into the newer models that we have, but this is just using this as a reference in this context. So again, the blue frames that you see on there, these are the Cobalt specific frames that we designed and came out to accommodate our needs. The black frame that we see on there, this is the OGX FR frame. This is the one that everybody in the openGear community uses. But what is really nice to just to reemphasize again here is the look at the capacity, the input power, and the usable power. So there are some differences. For some years now, a couple years or so now, many people have referred to the OGX as the more power, capable unit. Because it offered more than the previous 9000 model. But if you look now to the right, now we have the HBF Max that offers way more power to accommodate, for example, if you want to use 2110 or IPMX or compression products that are more power hungry type of cards. You can easily accommodate all that with one of these frames. All of our frames do also offer the ability to communicate through them, not only through dashboard, which is the openGear supporting user interface, but you can also utilize our web UI, which we named Rosetta. It's actually our internal name, but it's a web UI that's built into the network card of our blue frames that we offer. And basically what you get with that is you plug it in and you open up a browser, you type in the IP address to the frame's IP address, and you instantly get access to all the cards in the frame. You can monitor, do all the configurations, and basically control it through that method if you wanted to. But just so you know, it's not going to disrupt or modify or change anything that you're doing with dashboard. This is just to supplement or complement whatever you're doing with dashboard, but it's a nice way to have an additional access point to being able to control the cards in a frame. The other thing with the Max, just to point out, is that in the previous models, you always had to leave a 1RU rack space on the top and bottom of the frames just to be able to provide proper cooling. Well, with the HPF Max, you can actually stack them up on top of each other. Even with that stacking up of one another, you can still get proper cooling because the HPF Max does have what we call sophisticated cooling or ventilation, which allows you to basically be able to stack them up. And the system inside of the frame, it allows it to sort of dynamically adjust the fan speed and give you better cooling when you have that sort of configuration or stacking up the frame. So again, you're kind of gaining rack space, and you still have the ability to have a certain amount of density when using one of our frames. And then the smaller one is, again, if you have just a smaller standalone one-off configuration, then that's a very, very good option for having one encoder with 4 channels, or one 9905 with 4 channels. That'll give you a certain density with SNMP, redundant power, and the ability again to talk to it with the web UI that we offer from Cobalt. So again, this is just a recap. We've talked about these frames in the past, but again, this is good just to know what's available out there beyond just using the OGX. Okay. Next here. And these are, I kind of started talking about these. These are some examples of how you can configure the frames. For example, if you wanted to configure a small portable package for a flag pack for a small, production truck, or, like an ENG type of truck, you can utilize the BUG 1300 for that sort of scenario. You can easily accommodate one of these specific encoders with 4 channels. Again, you have the SNMP, redundant power. It's very self-contained. So that would easily accommodate either the encoder or one of the 4 channel cards that we offer. And then if you wanted to have a little bit more capability, then you go to the next one, which is the HPF 9500. In this scenario, because it doesn't offer a whole lot of power, but it still offers plenty of power, you can easily accommodate, for example, 10 of our 4x16 DA cards with fiber, being able to manage it either with dashboard or through the web UI. And it'll be a nice self-contained package that'll give you a certain density. And again, you get the SNMP, redundant power, all that. But if you wanted to accommodate other more power-hungry cards, again, like I said, you have the HPF Max, which can easily allow you to accommodate, let's just say 4 of the Pacific quad or 4 channel encoders with multiple processes, audio, etc. And then you can also throw in there some of the bi-directional gateway Indigo cards that give you the ability to convert 2110 to SDI or SDI to 2110, or now because this is one of the other products that supports the IPMX, you can also do that within the same frame. So again, depending on what is it that the workflow requires, you have options to go with that. And what's nice about these 3 frames, that you can easily interchange the cards between all 3 frames, and you can easily talk to all 3 frames with dashboard or with the web UI. So again, it's a very, very hybrid, very robust, way to configure different cards for different workflows as required. So these are just a recap of the frames that we have.
Thank you for that, Chris. So we get to the last section of this presentation, the NAB boot demos, and we're in North Hall 1340. It looks like this. We're going to have the multi-view in the center with 2110 IPMX workflow. We're going to have an IPMX specific demo, which is the title is ST2110 Made Easy. We're going to have audio monitoring and processing demo with the audio monitors. We're going to have REMI encoding and decoding with satellite hybrid. So it's going to be satellite modulator, demodulator there. And on number 5, we're going to have a blueCORE demo. Normally, in previous years, I would show every single station here in this presentation today I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just show you a general diagram of the the boot, and if you want to see the details, come see us. The boot's got, as usual, has a whole bunch of content sources. It's got, we're using a Wave 36 router this year. As usual, we have a feed from Champagne from my window. That's what I see every day out there. It's coming now to a Pacific ULL instead of 9992, and it's coming out directly as 2110 here into the 2110 switch. We have a few 2110 feeds, and the multi-viewer is got SDI out here. So your compressed feeds here, and this generates signals to and from demos 2, 3, and 4. So you'll see all of that. So that's in a nutshell. If you want to see the details of the demo, you gotta come see us. And unfortunately, some of you won't, but we'll do similar things at IBC in a few months. And that's it. Any questions?
No questions. For those of you who are coming to NAB, and if you're not, if your colleagues are end users, please feel free to invite them for our cocktail. We will have a cocktail reception on Monday between 5 and 6 p.m. on NAB Monday. So you should be getting invitations too, just as a reminder. But we'll look forward to seeing you. Yes, somebody has a question here. Oh. Okay, good. Well, we will be posting this this video as NAB opens in about in a couple of weeks. We're going to be posting the webinar on the Cobalt YouTube channel. We're not going to be posting in the next couple of days, but it will be posted as NAB opens. No